This is all about the ArriveCAN app. MP Brock got some documents handed to him, and then when everyone's seen it, they shut the committee down. Check it out.
The Prime Minister actually shut down committees, and indeed all of Parliament, for almost 2 months to stop them from answering those questions. It then began...
The request came in from Mr. Generous for these documents. We agreed. The committee agreed to pass a motion to have the documents provided. CBSA wrote to me saying we will provide one copy only, and it'll be under lockup. No one will see it. One copy and wasn't translated. We wrote back saying, no, that's not the motion. You will provide it. She wanted it held in private for sensitivity. We wrote back saying, please provide it. So I will take a look. I will read through it to see how sensitive it is, see if it actually is sensitive stuff. I've read through most of it with notes that I was going to discuss on camera, but we'll do it publicly. I was going to suggest that we distribute it only to the members itself, not to the wider 48 people generally on our email list that it is provided. I spoke to the clerk today before the meeting on how we do that. We just need a motion. My suggestion was going to be to propose we share it translated, but only to the members itself, not to our staff, not to the usual 47 people on the list. That was going to be my proposal on Wednesday. It seems to be moved up. If you wish to discuss it now, that would be my suggestion, that we share it only with the members. Mr. Sousa?
So, Mr. Chair, the issue that we're having here is, obviously, Mr. Brock, who's not a regular on this committee, has had access to this statement of fact. You're aware that he had it, and you have it, and yet you didn't.
Let me interrupt. I was aware he had it when he spoke about it, but I have to question whether this is the first. I'm going to say it to all of you, and I'm very kind of stunned. It's almost like the first committee, all of you, the amount of time all of us receive reports or emails or ATIPs to us that don't go to everyone.
Mr. Chair, my question
and
is...
And yet, also now someone has one and it has to be shared?
No. Listen, I just want to understand, Mr. Chair. I apologize. I'm not as astute when it comes to these procedures, but it seems to me that if you're aware that Mr. Brock has a statement of fact, you have it and the clerk has it, and you decided not to then share with the rest of us, knowing that...
that's not the case, Mr. Sousa. This will be the third time I've said it to you.
So when did you know that he had it?
You asked it earlier, and about 15 minutes ago, when he stated at the opening that he received some information from the witnesses. The witnesses, I'm aware, and their lawyer, I am aware, have a copy of it. Mr. Lafleur and how many people, CBSA or CBSA, have it, I am not sure. But even if it was shared by the witnesses, or Mr. McDonald or Mr. Eugeno, that's their right. And that's their right to share it with anyone they want. But that does not mean that you have the right to see it or that anyone else.
No, but we're asking, Mr. Chair, I'm just trying to understand. I'm asking for the committee's right to have information shared when it's already in the hands of others, and knowing that it's in the hand of others, it could have been appropriate for us to suspend and then share that document. I guess that's all my point, so that we can all have seen it.
I will repeat, as I said earlier, before the meeting started, discuss this with the clerk. My opinion was to share it only with the members itself. I asked for procedure on how to do that. Before the meeting started, the clerk advised, do it as a motion. My intent was to do it in camera Wednesday, but now it's been pushed ahead. But if you wish, we can do a motion right now to share it just with the MPs, which is my thought, or with the broader mailing list, which is, as we generally share other issues, or we share with the MPs with the understanding it remains confidential.
Just looking at the reaction of the Liberals, that this secret report isn't going to get to the public, as the RCMP investigation looks like it'll go on for years, and it's probably damning to the government. But we'll see going forward. Check this out.
Mr. Brock.
We are wasting such valuable time with this important witness, Given the fact that we have more committee business to undertake, I am asking that we reserve our right to recall this witness. I think there are a lot of more questions that all members, and if the motion is passed in terms of release of documents, are going to have for this individual. Insofar as preparation of this particular meeting, every member exercises their own unique due diligence. So what I do in terms of preparation should not be the standard by which any other member should equate that to. I take this stuff very seriously, as I know my colleagues do. And there's an important point to make here. There is no proprietary interest in any witness. There is nothing preventing from any member of the Liberal bench from actually reaching out to Cameron MacDonald on the telephone call or Mr. Utano and asking pointed questions, which is precisely what I did. I spent some time with both individuals gathering information. That information, I'm not under any legal obligation to share that with opposing members.
I agree. Colleagues, are we ready to make a decision and move on, or would you like to discuss it further Wednesday, or? Again, my proposal is to share it solely with the members of Parliament on this committee.
Chair, can we take a 2-minute recess? Thank you.
Can we just go back into questions and make a decision on this later?
We'll suspend for 2 minutes, but
Now, in this clip, it looks like they sent it out, but maybe someone didn't do their diligence and they were complaining that it wasn't spoon-fed to them, and how MP Brock got this information on his own, not necessarily time, but on his own accord. But check this out. It's a pretty interesting take on what's going on in this committee.
Clerk the clerk and the chair had this report, the statement of fact, in your possession last week, very early last week, knowing that the author of that report was coming before this committee today. And yet there was no indication, no communication from you to let us know that there was communication from the CBSA regarding this report. And it takes a second to sit at a computer to say, folks, I know we've got Mr. Lafleur testifying on Monday. Heads up, I've got a report in my possession, as does the clerk, that is pertinent to his appearance before this committee. It takes a split second. And I don't understand the logic of not sharing that information with this committee so that we can make an informed decision as a committee whether we want to defer or delay the appearance of Mr. Lafleur to give us the opportunity to decide whether we want to look at the statement and then even have an opportunity to look at the statement before the author, the investigator, comes before the committee. That I cannot understand your logic, Mr. Chair. I have a serious issue with that lack of communication with the members of this committee on such an important issue. And your explanation doesn't fly, Mr. Chair.
I guess we'll agree to disagree, Mr. Kuzmirchuk.
I think it's more important than that. Moving forward, I think it's more important that this committee have the opportunity to have a say in how it conducts its business here. And pertinent, important information was withheld from this committee. And I think we ought to have had a chance.
Well, let me respond. On January 29th, you received a letter about the report from President O'Gorman. If it was that important, as you've been stating, you could have simply, as you said, sent a simple email to me asking to have that distributed.
Mr. Chair, we depend on you because you received the information you shared with us over the break that you read through the report. Why were we not given the same privilege?
Mr. Kuzmirchuk, every single one of you received a letter on the 29th from Ms. O'Gorman about the report.
Get back to work.
Mr. Bachrach?
Mr. Chair, with regard to this line of conversation around when the chair knew what he knew, how it was communicated to the committee, how we ended up here without the statement of fact with Mr. Lafleur here, I don't think we're going to get anywhere in that conversation. you know, there are things going on. There are strategies being employed. I'm reminded of that famous quote from Casablanca. I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here. It is what it is. We're not going to change what's already happened. We have to move forward. I think, given that some members of the committee are talking about the statement of fact and reading from it, it would be beneficial to have the whole thing in front of everybody. I have no way of knowing whether it compromises the investigation because I haven't seen it, but it would seem that putting out portions of it and not the statement in its entirety is not to the benefit of transparency.
Well, it looks like they're all getting frustrated, and it's definitely getting to the end of this. Check out these last piece and leave your comments down below. What do you think is going to happen? Are we all going to see this, or is this just going to get in the back burner? Check this out.
Are we truly arguing over whether or not this motion has been properly worded or not in order to be able to adjourn? Is that what we're all arguing about? Are we going to adjourn? Well, no, we can't because it wasn't worded properly. This doesn't make any sense. We have 3 minutes left. We're going to have to adjourn. We're going to have to talk about Mr. Bacharach's motion. I think we all agree on that. I have no idea why we are losing all this time.
Colleagues, but if we adjourn, Mr. Bacharach can certainly start the next meeting with a motion to reintroduce.
And do what you will.
I'm going to take offense at your arbitrary. I'm happy, colleagues, if you want to be like other committees and stick to every little point and we'll get nothing done and run it that way. Or we can have one where we can agree to do stuff, but that's the will. Suspend will be fine, but before we suspend...
Point of order.
You see, this is... Well, this is what you wish, Mr. Bacharach.
Okay, so I know the standing orders very well, and I just say that following the rules is important to me, and the rules provide that when debate is adjourned, either through the adjournment of debate or the adjournment of a motion, a member can, after any time has passed, move a dilatory motion to resume consideration of the original motion. So Mr. Bacharach has that right. Regardless of whether we suspend or adjourn, he can bring this back and request of the committee at any time of his choosing. The motions...
Yeah, okay. Before we suspend, I get understanding we're going to suspend, which is fine, but before we do so, I will... so we have UC then that we will distribute that on a SharePoint to the P9s only. Yes. Perfect. We have agreement for that. And then if we have a motion to suspend, and we seem to have agreement on that. Thank you, colleagues.
Well, again, like, subscribe, leave your comments down below. But what do you think about this committee? Do you think it's just going to be buried in paperwork, or will this be moving forward? Have a great day.